Hello, happy Thursday. Today is January the 28th, and this is our instructional video for our lesson for today. So again, you can see on the screen right now, you have our learning targets. These are the goals that we've been working towards this week, where we are adding decimals to the hundredths place using different types of models, as well as the standard algorithm, and building the connection between those two things. Before I get any further into our lesson, I do want to show you that on our Google Classroom, I have posted the answer key to yesterday's practice slides. So again, yesterday on Wednesday, we were working with modeling decimal addition in a Google slide, and I have posted the answer key for self-checking. So taking a look at this first slide, yesterday we were creating the models. Today in this activity, we're going to look at how we can take an image that is there and turn it into an equation. So you can see that we have a piece in the yellow, plus some more shaded in the blue, and we need to figure out the total. All right, so the first thing we need to do is figure out how many yellow blocks. I do want to point out, though, that I noticed that today a lot of students were getting very confused in using whole numbers. So it's important to remember that one entire grid is equal to 1. It represents a whole. One shaded column represents a tenth in decimal form, looks like that. And then one of those itty bitty boxes, that represents a hundredth. So the first thing we need to do is take a look at our model and figure out how much of each color is shaded in. So looking at the yellow, I see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 completely shaded in columns, and then I have this piece here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more little boxes. So instead of just putting the answer down as a total of 55 yellow boxes, in decimals, 55 little yellow boxes means I have 55 hundredths. So I have 0 whole grids filled in and 55 hundredths. Now we're going to take a look at the blue, and we're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to look at first what's completely filled in. Because I know that 2 entire columns, there's 10 in each column, so I know that there's 20 there. And then I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 additional little blocks. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, I know that there are 29 little blocks, but because we're working with decimals, those little blocks are each worth a hundredth, so we have 29 hundredths. The last piece that we have to go ahead and fill in is the sum. The sum is the answer to an addition problem. And in this case, it's going to represent everything that is shaded in the entire grid. So I can see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 columns shaded in. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 extra blocks. So there are a total of 84 little blocks shaded in for 84 hundredths. I can check my math work by combining my add-ins, lining up the decimal point, and then go ahead and add, starting in the smallest place value all the way to the right. 5 plus 9, regroup. 5 and 1 is 6 plus 2, 0 and 0, and then bring down my decimal point. The next slide we took a look at is how we could take what we did yesterday and apply it to a problem that is similar but a little bit more challenging. So here you can see that we're starting with 1 and 4 hundredths plus 26 hundredths. So keeping in mind that 1 and 4 hundredths, if I were to decompose that, it's made up of 1 whole and 4 hundredths. And we just talked about how a whole shaded in grid is equal to 1 whole. So the first thing that I have to do is shade in this entire grid to represent one whole. Then I need to continue on into my second grid to represent 4/100ths more. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. So I have completely shown that I have one whole and then 4 additional hundredths to represent my first add-in. So now I'm going to pick a different color because you always want to use 2 colors when we are modeling decimal addition. So now I have to show 26 hundredths. So that means 26 more blocks. Well, I know that I have 6 left in this row because if there are 10, in this column, because if there are 10 in a column and I used up 4, that means I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, the next column is worth 10, so if I shade that in, now I'm at 16. If I shade in a whole nother complete column, that gets me to 26, and that's what I'm looking for. So now I can go ahead and figure out my answer. So what I'm going to do is take a look. I know that I have one entire grid filled in, and this represents one whole. So I have one whole, and then I'm going to look at what I have over here. Well, I have 3 complete columns, so I could say 3/10, or that's equivalent if I wanted to say 1 and 30/100ths. Again, 3/10 and 30/100ths are equivalent to each other, so you could say it either way. And I can go ahead and check my work using the standard algorithm to see if I'm correct. So let me switch my color. I'm going to first line up my decimal place value. Starting in the hundredths place, 4 and 6 make 10. 1 and 2 is 3. There you go. So here you can see that we took what we just went over and we had another chance to practice. So feel free to push pause on the video at any time and maybe try and think about the answer to this first one yourself before I go over it, and then just push play when you're ready. So again, we're being asked to create an equation. So I know I have an addition problem. I'm starting with some blue amount, adding the yellow amount to it, and we have to figure out the sum. So taking a look, I see, first of all, I know every number is going to start off with 0 decimal point because I have no entire complete grids filled in. So now I'm going to look at the blue amount, and I can see that I have 2 full columns, which means tenths, and then I have those additional 2 pieces for 22/100ths. Now I'm going to go ahead and look at the yellow. So I can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 complete columns. But then I have to figure out, well, what else do I have? So in those 6 complete columns, I know I have 60/100ths. And so I'm going to see 61, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 68, 69, 70, 71. So remember, if I have 71 little boxes, that is the same as 71/100ths. So I'm going to go ahead and write that on the line. So I'm not done yet. Now I have to figure out the total amount shaded in. All right, so I know that the whole entire grid has 100 boxes. So if I wanted to, and I know that I don't have the whole thing shaded, and I could count backwards, 99, 98, 97, 96, and so on. Or I could count forward. So either way will get you the same answer. So taking a look, I see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 complete columns. And then I have those 3 right there. And like I said, if you wanted to count backwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if I did 100 minus 7, that would give me 93 little boxes. And I know that each little box is worth 100th. So that means I have 93/100ths for 93/100ths. So just to show you another strategy. All right, down below, now we need to model using two different colors. The first thing I'm going to do is shade in 13/100ths. So that's going to be one complete column and 1, 2, 3 more. The biggest mistake that I saw in this next problem, or this next add-in, is students not realizing that this really represents 2/10. This is 2/10. And we know that 2/10 is the same thing. It's equal to 20/100ths. So that means I have to fill in 20. So I had a lot of students who just wanted to fill in 2 and call it a day. But it's not plus 2/100ths. It's plus 20 or 2/10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But I got to get to 20. A whole nother column. 17, 18, 19, 20. So now you can go ahead and see that I have my two colors shaded in, and I need to find the total, 0 holes and 33/100ths. All right, we also took a look at how we can add when we have more than just 2 add-ins. So all the steps are exactly the same. The first thing you need to do is line up your place values using the decimal points. I oftentimes like to just put my decimal points in first and then go in and write my digits. And again, I see that blank spot and I know that I want to put a placeholder in there, just like that. And now I can go ahead and solve my problem. Starting all the way to the right in my smallest place value, 2 and 9 make 11. Put down the 1 and regroup. 7 and 3 make 10 plus 1 more, another 11. Put it down and regroup into the ones place. 1, 2, and 1 make 4. And again, my answer would not be reasonable to be 411. I need to bring down my decimal point, and my final answer is 411. All right, 4 and 11/100ths when your decimal point is in there. So this was the majority of what we worked on today in class, is just continuing to practice adding using the standard algorithm, as well as modeling and understanding the equations that are represented with models.